Gender stereotyping on television and its effect on our youth. Gender socialization is part of our socialization process. Whether it's meant to be or not, from the time we are born, we are put into a category of girl or boy. And like Shirley Chisholm once said, the emotional, sexual, and psychological stereotyping of females begins when the doctor says, a girl. Because immediately, things are purchased for us that range from dump trucks, footballs, and varieties of blues to flowers, shades of pinks, and Disney princesses. We are put into boxes by society, either as little girls or little boys, and we are stereotyped from the beginning of our existence. Our societal norms fit us into these little boxes that say, check here for tutus and tiaras, or here for tractors, and toys. So what exactly is gender? Gender is social constructed expectations regarding the proper behavior, attitudes, and activities of males and females in a society. So you either act like a female or you act like a male. And according to the American Academy of Child Adolescent Psychiatry, television viewing is a major activity and influence on children and adolescents. The average child in the United States watches 3 to 4 hours of TV a day, so by the time they've graduated high school, they've spent more time watching TV than in the classroom. And while TV can entertain, inform, and keep our children company, it may also influence them in undesirable ways. In short, children begin to acquire sexual information very early in life and are exposed to several sources of information, television being one of them. It's the medium that's considered to have the most powerful effect on shaping and molding the children's behaviors towards gender roles in society. So how do we do gender? Well, according to Albert Bandura's social learning theory, it states that behavior is learned from the environment through observational learning. Television is considered and has always been identified, like I said, as the most powerful and greatly influential aspect in shaping and molding children's behavior. And the way that male and female characters are represented in the media usually molds the children's way of thinking. The stereotypes that occur in the media, especially on TV, support what conflict theorists state in reference to this topic, that men, as the dominant gender, subordinate women in order to maintain power and privilege in society. So we need to focus on how the men and women and males and females are portrayed on television. We need to take into accountability that children spend a majority of their time watching TV, and it's hard for them to depict what's real and what's not real. So this depiction of male characters on TV usually focuses on them being dominating, rescuing female characters, being aggressive, and full of action. Their occupational settings usually deal with jobs ranging from varieties of high money-making jobs. But when you get to the female depiction of characters, they're proved to be passive and useless, subordinate to men, and portrayed as smart or beautiful and sexy. They're usually portrayed in a domestic setting, and in the event that they do have a job outside the home, it's usually a secretary, a nurse, or a waitress. So you're probably asking yourself what the reason is for all of this. Basically, it's just a representation of the patriarchal ideology that promotes domination in society. Media, and especially TV, promote the dominant ideology to maintain social order. So what this means for the shows that our kids are watching are that the young boys are trained to learn to be more active, intelligent, and aggressive, while the younger girls are encouraged to become attractive and so this is best seen in children's television viewing on Scooby-Doo's characters of Velma and Daphne. You have Velma, who is portrayed as physically unattractive, slightly overweight in comparison to Daphne. She wears dull-colored clothing and appears sloppy. On the flip side of that, she's got brains and intelligence, which is absent in Daphne. She speaks scientifically, and she has a short haircut and a circular and square face. And usually you'll hear her say things like, according to my calculations. And then we have Daphne's character, who is always the damsel in distress, worrying about trivial problems when they're trying to resolve a conflict. She's attractive but appears useless. She's portrayed as self-centered, vain, and weak. She is very petite with a thin waist, perfect hair, and perfect clothes. Unlike Velma, she has vibrantly bright and colorful clothes and an oval facial structure. She's usually known for worrying about her hair when they're trapped in a sinking boat. The characters of Daphne and Velma provide a substantial argument regarding how women characters in animation programs portray them either as beautiful, passive, and irrelevant, or smart but less attractive. Another show is Disney Channel's Phineas and Ferb. You have the female character of Candace, portrayed as a typical female teenager with her female attire, always on her cell phone and obsessed with her boyfriend. And the main characters of Phineas and Ferb, who are always creating and constructing something crazy, scientific, grand creation. And then the male character of the secret agent. They just reinforce the male and female gender roles by including a platypus as a male secret agent. So what happens when the shows go off? Commercials. Parents are so concerned with the TV shows that their kids are watching that they're not vigilant about monitoring the programs that their children watch. The commercials are just as stereotypical as the TV shows that they're watching, and the reason that this is so important is because children are exposed to 600,000 television commercials in the first 20 years of their life. I'm just going to go over a little bit of what the advertising is. When they're watching the TV shows, like I said, a majority of the commercials are just reinforcing the stereotypes that they just saw in the TV show. So for boys, they're shown as seeking speed, power, and physical strength. The aggressive power in the commercials is exclusively limited to targeting males, and these types of ads usually show boys as being more independent. Than girls. When you get to the girl commercials, they're presented in traditional roles such as cooking and playing house. They're shown playing with dolls and makeup and usually fretting over becoming beautiful and popular. So we need to also understand that it's not just the children, it's adolescents that are at exposure for too. Negative correlations and consequences of, for adolescents, the sexualized gender stereotyping have been shown to range from confining males and females to traditional work roles, as well as self-objectification among girls and women, which results in low self-esteem. So mostly you'll see that the males are being depicted as being sex-driven and the females are being seen as sexual objects. This is the two typical stereotypes that you'll see in United States programming and commercials. So some of the things that you might hear about the men are that they're always ready and willing for sex, and they think about it all the time. They oogle girls even if they have a girlfriend, and you better be a macho and not a nerd. Also things like they think of sex more often and they can't be faithful to their girlfriends, girls preferring a tougher guy as a boyfriend, and of course that boys get all the girls. But we need to keep in mind that women are also being stereotyped and being seen as sexual objects, with comments like beautiful girls attract comments on their appearance and should be able to handle it, to girls should really take care of their appearance because boys don't want an ugly girl as a girlfriend. A girl has to look sexy in order to be attracted to boys, and it's cool for a guy to have a sexy girlfriend. This heavy exposure to TV glorifying sexiness and toughness may endorse ideas that looks are all important and overemphasizing the looks, which has negative consequences. You have these teens and adolescents now being preoccupied with appearance, and it's just solidifying self-objectified point of views of their own bodies. So these are just some of the ads that I found that were directed towards teens and adolescents. And like it said, all this exposure to TV glorifying the body and perfection and skinniness and sexuality, all it's really doing is leading self-objectification, which is just increasing negative emotions such as anxiety and shame. And you'll see that it's not just the females that are being affected by it, it's the male adolescents that are being affected by it too. So it's not just affecting females. It's affecting males too. It also contributes to a variety of mental and physical problems, such as eating disorders in adolescent males and females, sexual dysfunction, and depression. What media needs to stop doing is stop teaching girls how to be gorgeous and guys how to be clever. Stereotyping needs to become a thing of the past. Just take it from our little girl Riley, the expert on manufacturer gender stereotyping with toys.